show.
No, Jerry, we are preparing diligently for our show. We are not talking about bathroom breaks during the thing at all. We do not do that.
It's going to be a good one. I can already tell by the energy that this is going to be a good one. The distinguished gentleman's in the house. Little Batman and Robin action.
On Friday, loving it.
Little Alfred, little Bat Dog.
Little Bat Dog, he's in the Bat Cave. I noticed that. I put Liza back in the Bat Cave.
Interestingly, the Bat Dog is a female dog.
That's okay.
Yeah. That's okay. Totally,
That's okay.
It's totally okay.
I don't think if somebody needs to go back and double check. I think the Bat Dog is gender neutral. I don't think
is Bat Dog gender neutral? Judah, do you have that? Does Judah have his fantastic mic set up? Oh, you do. Is Bat Dog gender neutral, J-Dubs? Make sure you have a 3-shot ready to rock and roll today, too.
Because I have a feeling you're going to get involved in this conversation.
I guess the name is gender neutral.
It's Bat Dog.
Yeah, but I don't remember ever watching it. They never said, they never referred to it as a he or a she or an it. And it might be neutered, so it doesn't really matter.
I do not
Oops,
know.
did I just get into trouble?
Gosh,
I have a feeling my daughter in Seattle is going to text me, Dad.
Is she watching?
I think she's watching. I don't know. You'll be able to see.
Tell her hello and you love her.
Yeah, of course. I love all my ladies. Miss Yona Smith is visiting grandbabies today. She got on the train yesterday, so I'm a bachelor.
You're a bachelor. That's terrifying.
I'm a bachelor. Yeah. It's funny. We have a little internal joke between Greg Slater, Yona, and myself.
Okay.
Right. So.
Love you, Greg Slater.
Yeah, and you should tag him. We were just talking to him on the way in, and so I'm the chair and he's the vice chair of the land trust.
Bert and Ernie.
Bert and Ernie. We refer to ourselves as Bert and Ernie, and I'm Bert, by the way. He's Ernie.
Oh, you are.
I'm clearly Bert. So he, the last time he did this, I was a little overwhelmed and I had a bit of a meltdown. And now, before Yona leaves, she has to check in with Greg and says, "Okay, Greg, I'm leaving." And it's a little internal joke on all that stuff.
Oh, we love you, Greg Slater. Judah Whitcar, we can rock and roll when you're ready, baby. Good Friday morning, guys. My name is Jerry Miller, and welcome to Real Talk here on the I Love Seville Network. We are live in Charlottesville, across Albemarle County, Central Virginia, the Commonwealth, the country, and the world, right here on the I Love Seville Network, and we're presented by Yes Realty Partners. Say it loud, say it proud. Yes Realty Partners. And our friend, Keith Smith, the media mogul. Keith Smith.
Media mogul. Where did that come from?
Why don't we go to the 2-shot and welcome the distinguished gentleman to the program?
Oh,
Now we're finishing each other's sentences here. Keith Smith on NBC 29 yesterday and this morning.
They've called me for an interview on rent increases and where the rental market's going, and I was honored to sit in front of a camera and talk.
You did a hell of a job. And it's a startling statistic. Year over year, a 13% increase in rents in the greater Charlottesville area. That is substantial.
It is substantial, and each jurisdiction is a little bit different. Some a little high, some a little low. Excuse me for a second. A little higher and a little lower.
Yeah.
On that end of it, but overall, and what kind of caused the interview in the pre-conversation with, and I've forgotten the reporter's name, as she says it was like a 4%. And I go, no. So I supplied her with the data of what it was looking at, and a shout out to Suzanne Reel and Allied Property Management for helping me put that data together. Plus I pulled some stuff off of Car and Apartments.com and so forth and so on, but did a quick analysis first quarter over first quarter, and it's well over double digits across the board.
I mean, considerable increase in rents, and it really took me aback, but we know it's as the distinguished gentleman put it in the article. It's economic supply and demand 101. It's as simple as that. We don't have enough homes.
I didn't think I just spoke. Go figure, huh?
And it turned into news.
Yeah, who knew, right? Who knew? But I don't even remember exactly what I said. What did I say?
You sounded smart.
I said it smartly, yeah.
Yeah.
Look, it's economics 101, right? Supply and demand.
Yeah.
There's just not enough apartments to meet the needs. Apartments, single-family detached rentals, single-family attached rentals. It's kind of about what we're going to talk into, because I spent 6 hours looking over sales end of it on homes, on purchases over the last one quarter, this last quarter versus the quarter of 2021, and broke it down into all the jurisdictions to include Waynesboro and Stanton. The short version of all this paper in front of me is...
The man loves notes and paper.
I do. I love notes and paper. You can't get the developer out of me, killing trees and stuff like that. But I just need it. I can't. It's my age. I can't do the computer thing. I've got to have notes in front of me. And
you're always prepared, my friend. Bill McChenzie, hello. Kevin Yancey,
Bill.
hello.
Hey, Bill. Hey, Kevin. I had great conversation yesterday with Kevin. We connected via the phone, and we almost became brothers from another mother. We were
the king of Waynesboro himself, Kevin Yancey.
Yeah. We had a chat on the phone yesterday, and I appreciated the heck out of every moment of it. It was a great conversation. It's really neat when you do this, and then you get to connect with really neat people and learn a little bit. I learned a little bit about him, and I learned a little bit about different markets, and we also turned out that we were in the same places at the same time, and it was pretty cool, man. Enjoyed the conversation.
The man knows Waynesboro and the Shenandoah Valley inside and out.
Yeah, we were talking the other side of the mountain, which, if we want to jump into that.
Yeah, let's do it.
If we want to jump into it, Augusta County. Right, that's just the county. There were 18, first quarter versus second quarter, there was 18 less units sold quarter over quarter, year over year. 2022 was 175. 2021 was 195. The days on market was actually equal, 8 and 8. But one of the things I wanted to look at was what the list prices versus sold prices, what was the percentage differences across the board. And in Augusta County, in 2022, the actual median sold was 290 this year. Last year it was 260. So it's a 30 grand jump, which is pretty substantial.
Substantial?
But it was interesting, the median list and sell was neutral. They were actually zero. Some of the other jurisdictions, they were substantially higher, and we can dig into that a little bit. But I'll be honest with you, out of all the jurisdictions, there's only two areas I looked at that actually had a gain year over year in volume and number of units. One was Albemarle County, new construction, single family detached. There was 11 more units sold. And the second one was was actually Greene County. Greene County new construction was up 3. It wasn't much, but everything else had negative numbers. The total of all the jurisdictions I just talked about were 31 units below where we were this time last year.
It's something you predicted.
That's what we talked about. Do you want to know what the largest number was?
The largest delta.
Albemarle County.
Talk to us about year over year, Albemarle County.
This is no new construction, so I took new construction out because it kind of skews the numbers, and I broke those down separately. There are 71 units less sold. So I didn't do percentage, so somebody who's smarter than me can do that. This quarter, 222 units, so these are closed. These are actually closed, recorded transactions. Last year it was 293, so that's a negative delta of 71. So
year over year, Q1 versus Q1.
71 units. And
that's substantial.
And it feels like that out there, right?
Oh, for sure.
So it's out there and it's doing it. Interesting, we were 50 grand higher on the median sales price in Albemarle County, 460 versus 410. 460 this year, 410 last year on that end of it. The largest jump was new construction in Albemarle County, by the way. That was a $66,000 jump, but we were also 13 units off. So we've been talking about this for a while. I wanted to put some numbers to it. I don't want to bore everybody with 6 hours of notes and crunching and to go ahead and do that. But, we've been talking about this, and it's happening. The volume of sales are starting to drop. Some of them substantial, some of them not so much. Right, the city of Charlottesville, the new construction doesn't really impact Charlottesville at all, but that only dropped 8 units quarter versus quarter. So it was, this year was 98, last year was 106. Hold it. Yeah, 98 versus 106 is 8. Want to make sure my math was right there for a second. Spreadsheet don't lie on that end of it. So, and they were $24,000 up year over year. In other words, last year it was 424. Excuse me, this year was 424. Last year was 400. Interesting, there was a 2.7% increase in list price versus sold price in the city of Charlottesville. So people are paying a little bit more than what the list price was. But when I did this, I was expecting to see some really large percentage differences on it. And in other words, what the list price was versus sales price. We hear about these homes going over list price by these large numbers. And really, other than new construction, those were in the 6 and in the 7% year over year difference between list price and sales price. And that's because of materials. Most of them were in the 1.5 to 2%, 2.5% on the highest level on that. So it's really not happening. You hear this, homes are selling for substantially above asking price or list price. And I'm not tracking that here. That may be an anomaly right now. It may catch up on the second quarter. But that was the two things I wanted to look at. I wanted to look at what was listed versus what sold, right? What was the percentage difference when over listing price, and where's the volume going, the volume of actual sales going.
Let's say hi to our friend, Maggie Gunnels.
Hey, Maggie, how you doing?
Watching the program. Hello, Maggie. Vanessa Parkhill, the Queen of Earlysville. Hello, welcome to the program. Ray Cadell, we love when you watch the show, my friend. So I'll throw this to you. While we may not be seeing the homes trading for substantially above asking price.
So let me stop there for a second. This is median, so this is dropping out the stuff that's really high and the stuff that's really low. I'm hitting in the middle here on what's doing that.
Absolutely. I will throw this. The asking prices are checking in considerably higher, though. While they're not trading higher than asking price, it's still commanding top dollar for asking when they go on the market.
Yeah, so what you're saying is what is the list price jump year over year?
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. So that is true, right?
Yeah.
So for instance, I'm just looking at the city of Waynesboro, right? This year the median list price was $230. Last year was $190, so that's a $40,000
I mean, that's
jump.
that's tremendous.
Yeah. The actual sold was a little bit less. It was $36,000 because of probably some seller financing, seller credits, or something along those lines. But it's awfully darn close to that. So that end of it. So year over year lists have grown tremendously. But what I was looking at is what in the city of Waynesboro. Literally, what the list price was in this first quarter versus what it sold was flat. So there wasn't a lot of upticking from listing to sold. Does that make sense?
Oh, that makes perfect sense. That's great data, great analysis.
But you're 100% right. The largest, you want to know what the largest jump was on list and sold?
What jurisdiction?
What jurisdiction and what product type? And no cheating because I sent this to you.
No. Tell me.
It's my home
Fluvanna?
Fluvanna County, new construction. I'm only looking at new construction. Last year, first quarter, the median list price was $299. The median list price this first quarter was $390. That's a $91,000 jump. The sold even went higher. The sold was, this first quarter, the median sold price for new construction in Fluvanna County was $393. Last year was $298.
Where's that new construction happening in Fluvanna?
So some of those big jumps are in Lake Monticello, but there are, outside of Lake Monticello, there's a couple of subdivisions that are doing it, that are selling on the end of it. I can tell you, when I took a deeper dive into this, there were some new constructions this time last year, and I double checked it. We're selling in the high 2.9s, $290,000, $300,000. That same product is selling for this almost $100,000 more. Yeah, and that's the fact of new construction, and they're moving. They're a little off. New construction in Fluvanna County was 24 this first quarter. Last was 33, so we're around 9 units off. Not a huge number, but it's a little bit off. But yeah, that's the biggest jump I've seen at this point. I think the next biggest one was Green new construction at 64,000. I apologize. Louisa new construction was $78,000 jump year over year. What you could buy new construction this time last year versus this year. Kind of flat on their volume, was 39 units sold this quarter, 41 last quarter, so it's only about 2 units off. And it's also interesting, the median list versus a sold was also flat. There was not a big differential between the two. But
so
I thought that'd be a good way to start off today.
Oh, it's fantastic. Good morning, Daniel Pettit. Dan Pettit, we love you, my friend. It's very, so let's cut to the chase. Less inventory in the market, and the less inventory that's on the market is selling at price points that are higher than ever before.
Correct, and if you take a look at the news yesterday, I think mortgage rates jumped up to 4 and a change, right?
Yeah.
4. I don't want to
High
quote the
fours.
number. High fours. I can't remember the exact number because I don't have it on my notes.
All right, let me see if I can do a quick search on
Yeah,
that.
I think it was 4, and you can reach out to Scott. I think it was
Ross Mortgage,
yeah,
Scott Morris.
I believe it was over 4.5%. It was a jump on that.
That's a substantial, so we have seen, Dan Pettit wants to know, all detached homes there, Keith?
So which I've got broken down, detached, attached. So the question is which jurisdictions? Some jurisdictions like Fluvanna County, the attached product doesn't really. There's so little of them. It skew the delta, the math on it so much. But in Albemarle County, I broke it out from attached and detached, particularly in new construction.
D-Mac, Daniel McDougall says, good morning from Fluvanna.
Hey, Fluvanna County.
Fluvanna County is well representing right now.
I'm getting texts from people in Fluvanna County asking me questions.
Fluvanna County in the house.
There you go.
Which jurisdiction surprised you the most of all the data points you collected? It's got to be Fluvanna.
Fluvanna new construction, it didn't surprise me because, look.
Well, you're in the business.
We keep track of this stuff on a daily basis.
Okay, let me rephrase. Which one, when you looked at the data, were like... No.
Yeah, so I will tell you the Albemarle County 71 down. I knew it was down. I didn't think it was down 71, and I didn't do the percentage difference on that. But if somebody out there wishes to do the math, this year was 222. Last year was 290, so it's a 71 difference. I didn't do the math difference on what the percentage down of sales was it on top of it. But that kind of hit me a little bit. I knew we were looking at some negative numbers.
you're looking at 25% there.
I think is it exactly? Is it maybe
20,
even
25 and change?
Yeah, I was thinking closer to 30, but that's in my head. I'd have to get a calculator.
Yeah,
out
back of the napkin.
Go ahead and.
That is. We predicted this. We saw the inventory that would otherwise have come on the market this year go on the market last year as people were opportunistic and took advantage of the roller coaster ride that was 2021.
So I missed something earlier for our dear friends in Waynesboro. Waynesboro is one of the jurisdictions that are up in volume. So this is, to answer Dan's question, there's not a substantial single-family attached impact on it, and there was not a substantial new construction when I was taking a deeper dive into this. But first quarter this year, 100 sold. First quarter last year, 69. So it's a $31,000 jump. The increase year over year in sales price was $36,000. So we're running about $230 right now. Last year it was around $194 on that end of it. So there's a $36,000 jump. But like we've been predicting, that's kind of where everybody's going because that's where that price point is. So that's the one that's up. Albemarle County new construction single family detached is up by 11. And Greene County new construction is up by 3, and that's it. Every other jurisdiction is got a negative number in front of it year over year as far as volume goes, number of units being sold.
Fantastic data right there. Comments coming in fast and furious. Daniel McDougall, interest rates have risen in the past 12 weeks at the fastest pace since 1994. Wall Street Journal, I'm looking at the article right now in front of me. 30-year mortgage rates rise to 4.67%. The highest, 4.67%, the highest rates since December 2018.
Yeah, so, for those who are in the biz, it's difficult to make transactions happen, period, right? Because of lack of inventory. The interest rate jumping up a little bit may pull some people out of this.
Oh, no doubt.
Yeah, so, I use this analogy all the time, the deep end of the Olympic size, the 10-meter or whatever it is.
The swimming pool.
The swimming pool. So it's starting to drop a little bit. I just don't think the inventory portion's moving up. I was reading an article again in the Wall Street Journal. We were at one point in time 5.5 million units down a couple of years ago. This is new construction nationally. I think we're closer to 4 down at the moment, so we're making progress. But 4 million is a huge number to make up the difference. And as I said in the interview on 29, it's 101. We need more units in order to get the market to balance on that end of it. But I think you're going to see some stabilization, though. I think when we start looking in second and third quarter, and we do the show about this, I just don't think you're going to see these huge increases in sales numbers quarter over quarter, because I think the interest rates are going to start tamping that down a little bit on that end of it. I have not had an opportunity to dig into it greater than I did, but my next step is how many of these were cash, how many of these were conventional, how many of these were different type of loans. But
the thing that surprises me is you would think even the higher price points would be softer, but that's not necessarily what we're seeing.
Yeah, but that's changed a long time ago, right?
Okay.
Yeah, that changed pretty much the beginning of COVID,
Okay.
right? Remember, everybody was thinking prior to COVID, some of the upper end products, upper end homes. I don't like using the word soft, but let's just use that for the sake of a talk show. Was soft. The trading wasn't as rapid and
Yeah.
That's not the case now. That's simply not the case at this particular point. So all the ladder of the housing of ladder, all the housing affordability spectrum is being impacted by this, and it's being impacted by a lack of inventory and the supply 101.
Let's get to some comments. Kevin Yancey, the lowest priced home in Waynesboro right now is $195,000. 897 square feet, 2 bedroom, 1 bathroom on 0.3 acres, built in 1941.
Yeah,
and that is 897 square feet. It's not a large home.
Yeah. So I didn't bring actives with me. I've just brought solds. So yeah, totally. I get, and it'll sell if my math tracks out. It'll sell for 195, pretty darn close to it on that end of it. And somebody will come in that. Renovate it, or if it's not renovated already, or add a little bit of space to it. That is a lot that's large enough to go ahead and add an extension to it or something along those lines.
Jennifer Smith, question for Keith: if you own a house,
are we related?
Are you? Well, you should know that.
It's a joke. It's a Smith thing.
Jennifer Smith says this: if you own a home currently and are looking to buy another home, and you need to sell your existing home for the money to buy the other home, how can you possibly do that in this market?
Yeah, so great
Domino deal.
Well, great question. And thank you. So the question is asked, right? Because it's a double-edged, it's two sides of a coin here we're working with, right? One, I want to sell my home, but I need to sell my home to buy home number 2. So that's the math.
That's what she's asking.
That's the math equation. Then the equation of how do I compete against cash and how do I compete?
Well, time.
Correct. So we talked about this with Ivy Haynes, if you don't mind tagging us.
Yeah.
That would be great. Ivy Haynes, I believe it was Wednesday, and Scott Morris. There's a tool available, and actually we're working with several clients to do this, is what they call a possession by seller. So the way this market is going right now, I know you're smiling. So the way this market is, but it works. The way this
it blew my mind.
It's working. The way this market is going right now, if you take a deep dive into the agent side notes of some of these listings that are active in there, almost all of them are saying, "Hey, I'll accept a contract as long as I can stay in my house for a period of time." Right? So the math issue here is okay, I'm going to sell my house now. I'm going to get the most amount of money for my home right now. I'm going to net so much. I'm going to sell the house to Jerry. Jerry's going to say, you know what, I'll let you live in the house for either so many months free or with some sort of rent back scenario, because you're going to have to pay rent to do this for 6 months or whatever we negotiate.
6 months?
I've seen ones for years, a year.
What?
It worked.
Did you just hear that, viewers and listeners?
Well,
yeah. Come on.
Yeah,
You're joking.
Yeah, totally. I've got one right now where new construction, they're building a house. They're here, and the buyer is an empty nester out of up north. They're renting a home for it works. They're renting a home for a year in Northern Virginia.
Seller possession for a year.
Oh yeah, sure. They sold their home in Old Town. I don't want to get too specific, but they sold their home in Old Town, made a substantial amount of money. They're renting something up there. They took that cash. They bought something down here. The seller is building a home. We're connected to every one of these transactions, and they're staying in for a year. And so
DMAX says Fannie Mae only allows 60 days.
So that was the conversation
with Scott Morris.
With Scott Morris, right? So this happens to be a cash transaction. So the thing is, this is happening. Who's looking at that, right? Who's following that up to go ahead and do that? Because you're 100% right. There's a document you're going to sign.
Because then it doesn't become a primary residence. It becomes an investment property.
Got it. And I'm not so sure everybody's looking hard at that, right? It's just the way the market.
You're saying...
well, who enforces that?
Let's ask Daniel McDougall.
Yeah.
Who enforces that? How would Fannie Mae enforce that, Daniel McDougall?
Yeah, so the only way they could afford... It's like anything with zoning.
That's a great question.
Yeah. So how it's enforced, somebody drops a dime.
Ivy Haynes, hello.
Or a quarter.
Drop a dime.
$1.
Well, in inflation now, it's drop a 50-cent piece.
Drop an iPhone.
Say hi to your friend Ivy Haynes.
Hey, Ivy, how you doing? It was a great show on Wednesday. Thank you for coming in. But it's like anything. How do you enforce that? How do you enforce zoning ordinances? Like there's a zoning cop that goes
zoning is a little easier to enforce. How does Daniel McDougall, if you're watching the program.
Or
Scott Morris.
Scott
Morris, if you're watching. Hello, Ivy.
Yes.
If you're watching the program, Scott Morris, Daniel, help us out here. How would Fannie Mae enforce...
Or any of the loan products that require...
seller possession, whether complimentary or rent back. How would they enforce the 60-day cap threshold?
Well, yeah, correct. So the 60 days is kind of a gimme. Anything above that, and we're seeing these things happen. They're happening on in the marketplace.
KJ, Kelly Jackson, hello. Say hello to our friend Kelly Jackson.
I miss talking to her.
She was fantastic the other day.
I didn't get a chance to see it.
Broke a little news with the Marshall to Fifth Street Station.
I've been busy crunching numbers. You probably might want to share that with me.
That ended up going viral, KJ.
There you go.
Fifth Street Station, Marshall's new tenant, leaving the city of Charlottesville to Albemarle County. Tax base going from the city to the county. Marshall's.
I did see the post you did on the businesses for sale. That was actually really good.
Thank you very much.
We were actually talking about that in the office yesterday.
Thank you very much. Daniel McDougall says it might be discovered by accident via mail issues, hazard policies written incorrectly, etc. So let me ask you this, Daniel McDougall, and any loan officer, Scott Morris, if you're watching, jump in here. Let's say, all right, I'm going to try to help me walk through this.
I think they've got other fish to fry than this one.
Help me walk through this, okay?
Like fair housing and stuff like that.
Help me walk through this. Loan product, Fannie Mae.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's say it's Fannie Mae. Let's say Keith and Yona sell their home at Lake Monticello.
Stop
it. He doesn't want to sell and Yona does. Let's say.
Look at the time, gotta go.
let's say, folks, we won't use the Smiths.
You can
Folks,
use the Smiths. It's okay. Everybody knows.
The Smiths in Lake Monticello sell their home.
Mrs. Smith sells the home and says, Keith, you're coming. This is how this is going to work.
The Smiths sell their home in Lake Monticello. They ask for, because Mr. Smith is a shrewd negotiator, and he asks for complimentary seller possession. And that complimentary seller possession ends up being 6 months and not the 60 days allowed by Fannie Mae. What would happen, Daniel McDougall, what would happen if Fannie Mae finds out that it's a 6-month complimentary seller possession?
Well, it wouldn't be complimentary. I would expect to pay after the first 60
You would
days.
ask for complimentary.
Of course I would, but since I negotiate for a living, I know what's realistic and I know what's not realistic. So we'll pay, but immaterial if it's complimentary to pay. It's a great question. What's the ramifications?
What is the ramifications, Daniel McDougall?
Of that, and how does that process work? And I just don't think much of anything is going to happen. I think the way this market
Would the loan be called? He says FNMA pulls the loan.
Yeah, I mean, the loan could get pulled.
How likely would that happen? That's what I was wondering, Daniel.
Yeah, look, if you're smart enough and you've got all your documents going in the right place, and as far as the mail and all this kind of great stuff in your mail, it's more of an ethical and moral question, because you're signing a document saying you're not going to do this, right? But the reality is of the reality at this point in time. And maybe this is something that the mortgage folks can get in front of and say, look, in today's market, this is something we can change on that end of it. But it's set up, particularly the first-time home buyer product, it's set up that it needs to be your primary, you need to move in.
Ray Cadell says the insurance may catch it.
Yeah, correct.
And notify the lender.
Correct. Yeah. There's some mechanisms to go ahead and do that. Well, ask the wonderful Ray Cadell. Does he see this? Because he deals with a lot of first-time home buyers.
You're asking him right now.
I'm asking him right
watching.
now.
Yeah.
There you go. Duh.
Ask him.
I forgot.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, is he seeing stuff over 60 days with the seller possession? I know we are. I know this is commonplace. I know you look in the listing agreements and they're talking about it. But to go back to, I'm getting phone calls. To go back to Ms. Smith's question, right? Let's put this question to the side about what the ramifications are. It is a tool that is currently being used for that end of it, so that you could potentially stay in your home for an extended period of time while you're trying to go ahead and find your other thing. You cash out, you have your cash in your account, right? You're able to put a substantial down payment, hopefully, which makes it make you more competitive on the buy side on it. Other than this goofy question, which we don't have an answer to, and we really need to bring in.
It's important to emphasize, and Daniel McDougall is making this very clear here, that is loan fraud.
Yeah. So now that's a great question. So what do we do now, Coach? Right? No, it's being done, right? And if it's being done, how do we stay, is a great question for him. So if we have sellers that want to do this, what loan product? So I'm looking at multiple offers, right? I'm winging this here
What's up, John Blair?
As we're doing this. Hey, John. Let's get some help from the professionals, from the loan professionals on there, right? I'm representing you. I'm selling you. We put in this thing that you need to stay in your home for 6 months. Let's just pick this as
well, you're picking a time over 60 days.
I'm picking a time over 60 days, right? So now I'm looking at offers and I'm trying to help my client navigate that. What loan product, if there is even any loan product, that I need to be looking at from the buyer to make sure that we don't have a loan fraud problem? Does that make sense?
Oh yeah.
It would actually be on the buyer side, because once the transaction happens, it's not the seller that is doing the fraud, it's the buyer.
It's the buyer. The buyer's getting the financing.
So let me try this a different way without confusing Smith, because that's what I'm doing right now.
Well, ask Daniel McDougall. He's watching.
That's what I'm asking.
Yeah.
Is what loan product can my client now use that will keep them up from doing that? Does that make sense?
Yes. So if a buyer is buying a house, they cannot use a Fannie Mae product because they have a 60-day threshold.
What loan product
Which
can I
financing vehicle
Correct.
can the buyer utilize to
Other
not
than
commit
cash.
loan fraud, other than cash?
Other than cash, right.
That's a great question.
And does a volume of down payment change that, impact that a little bit? This is really a Wednesday with Scott Morris conversation on that end of it. I love this.
So here it is. He's got an answer.
Yeah, there's no doubt in my mind.
Scott Morris, jump in here too. So, dude, I love the show.
Isn't it fun?
I'm learning.
Isn't it fun?
Are you learning?
I'm learning. I'm
This is a man who's been in the business since 87?
102 years.
No. Have you been in the business 87?
I've been in from 87.
So you've been in the business 35 years?
35 years.
Okay, ready for this?
And what I know, what we're talking about right now will be different this time next year.
Right?
Yeah.
And that's the beautiful thing about the show. And the other beautiful thing about the show is they will call us out.
Yeah.
That's why you prepare.
That's why I prepare. And
I've only seen, and I'm going to give you some props here. I've only seen, how long we've been doing this show?
we are several months into our 4th year.
I've only seen you say on this show, make two mistakes. And now you're going to say I make mistakes all the time. But 2 things you've said on the show.
I think I made a dozen so far.
No,
But
only 2. To
Really?
your credit. Daniel McDougall says this, to answer your question.
Yeah, because so the real estate agents out there listening,
You're learning.
you're learning here, right?
And you don't want to be committing loan fraud.
Well, now that you know,
Yeah.
right, you have to advise your client. So I'm curious, what's the answer?
He says, if it were to be done correctly and above board, 6 months to a year of seller possession of a property. The buyers would need to do an investment property loan.
Yeah.
The seller could pay points to bring it down to primary rates.
Got it. So what I'm
Because the investment property is coming at an interest rate that's higher than a primary residence property. For those that don't know.
So what I'm hearing is there's no conventional product.
That's what he's saying.
I just want to make sure we understand.
No conventional product. Is that right, Daniel
There
McDougall?
is no conventional product at all. We know VA, you can't do it. We know some of the governmental backed products, but there's no conventional.
Outside of cash.
I swear, we're not talking cash.
Yeah.
Right. So there's no conventional product that does not have that 60-day clause in it. That's the question. As I'm rethinking it.
Dude, agents are getting a little scared right now. We got some comments coming in here.
Yeah, no.
You ready for this? Okay, so this is
No,
from,
I'm not.
This is from Ray Cadell.
Hey, Ray.
He says, yikes.
Yeah.
If we as realtors know and move the transaction along, are the realtors also part of loan fraud? Are the realtors also party to the loan fraud? So Ray's asking that question.
Hey, are we at 11:30 already? Look at this. I gotta go. I got a meeting.
You had no idea the show was going to go down this road here.
Oh, God.
No idea.
I got all kinds of stats.
No idea. So Ray Cadell, he's a broker,
Oh, yeah.
manages a team,
Not only a broker,
A-plus guy.
A+++.
Yeah, we love you, Ray
guy.
Cadell. You know we do.
A++ human, right off the bat.
Best horn player on the East Coast.
I think the world, but that's just me.
He says he's asking on one Facebook page to an expert on another page. Are the realtors complicit
So Ray,
with the loan fraud?
Ray, I'm going to ask you to do me a favor on this, and both of us will get in trouble for doing this. I can't do it because I don't have it in front of me. But guess what, Ray? Ask that question in the...
Daniel McDougall says absolutely the realtors are a part of loan fraud if they move the deal along.
So Ray, ask that question in the Car Close Facebook group. Let's get our realtors involved. Look at that, I even said it right. And tag Donna Patton, who is my what is it called? She's I'll get it. What she does?
She's the car president.
No, Donna Patton.
Oh, Pam Dent's the car president.
Yeah.
She's an important person with Keller Williams.
She is. It'll come to me.
Okay. We're on a talk show, so
We're
we
on a
gotta keep. We're on a talk show. You gotta
come on.
Gotta keep talking.
Come on, to make sure I do everything right. What is this called? Come on, Smith.
Team leader.
No.
Rules and regulations advisor.
Yeah, no. God Almighty. Donna was going to kill me. I just spent 4 days with her doing my broker class. Anyway, make sure we don't break the rules. There's a
Okay.
We've got it.
She's a rule. She's enforcing the rules with Keller Williams.
So tag her
Just
on
leave
this.
it on that.
Well, now I'm getting nervous, right? Because, we've been suggesting this on the show forever, right? We've been suggesting.
Well, to your credit, you've suggested seller possession, not necessarily time-stamped. Although you did allude to the seller possession that's happening for a year earlier in the program.
Well, and what Institute did...
Risk management?
Risk management. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Daniel Pettit.
Thank you, Daniel. Thank you for keeping me straight, my friend. Compliance. That's the word I'm looking for. Risk management and compliance.
Okay, so we just learned something.
Well,
Realtors should know this.
Yeah, so I think somebody should throw that question out in the Car Close Facebook and get some of the brokers moving along. Next Friday, we've got Sasha Tripp coming in and Quentin Beckham for a broker roundtable, and I think we're just going to ask this question and get it from a broker's opinion on that. But I think everybody is right. So if there is literally...
Dude, this is blowing up right now.
If there's literally... Tag our folks at Channel 29. We'll give them some more.
This is blowing up right now.
Give them some more news. And who knows, I might be having... I don't know, Ray, did I just get myself into some ethics problems here? Who knows?
No, you didn't.
Yeah, I'm only kidding.
Yeah.
So that's interesting, right? We've been suggesting that, and what chimed this whole conversation
Dude,
here...
every realtor's been suggesting that.
Yeah.
He just posted it in the car group.
Thank you, Ray. Let's see, and Ray, keep track of that.
Ray, let us know the responses there.
On that end of it.
So that's loan fraud.
Yeah, and this is interesting. How does this actually work? And Mr. McDougall is right. I think you probably, to do it according to Hoyle, you need to do one loan product, and of course that's going to be expensive. And
it's going to be higher rates.
And then the follow-up question is, if I know that as the listing agent, right, and I know that this is going...
Because the listing agents are putting it in the notes.
So that's exactly what triggered
the listing agents are the ones that are encouraging this.
I've seen it in several listings last weekend that I was showing,
So Daniel Pettit asked for Daniel McDougall, what would the rates be for this property if it's considered an investment property and the seller needs to stay in the home longer than 60 days?
Well, it's not only that. More than likely, it's going to be a short-term commercial loan, which is generally some sort of points over prime. This I know a lot about because I did this my whole career on that end of the stuff. So it's interesting on how, now maybe the answer is you go call up Scott or Mr. McDougall, and I'm just spitballing here, and get a HELOC on your house and cash out and use that cash to buy. I don't know, because...
What? Walk me through that?
Well,
you get a home equity line of credit?
Just the whole theory of this...
That's getting complicated.
Without a doubt. The whole theory of this is sell my house, right?
Yeah.
Cash out, stay in my house, right, and have time to go find another house.
Yeah, no,
so
I get
what I've just learned
is you can't do that.
You only can do it for 60 days.
Yeah.
I can't do it for 90 days.
Michael Buchensky's watching. We have, from my count, 6 mortgage guys.
So what is Michael say?
Michael Buchensky, First Heritage. We love Coach Buchensky.
Yeah, without doubt, man.
The rule is 60 days for possession. Dude, it's coming in fast and furious right now. Buchensky says the rule is 60 days for possession for a new primary. If you skirt that issue, it is loan fraud, bottom line.
Got it.
Bottom line.
Yeah.
McDougall responds, typically with 20% down, 2 points would be added into closing costs for an investment property loan. That's an answer for Daniel Pettit right there. I'm seeing
Well, walk that one back.
I'm seeing 6 firms here, realtors watching.
So let's walk that back a little bit. So what we're saying on the buyer side, there's a product out there. We'll have to pay a couple of points to do it, but it's
an investment property loan.
You can do investment property, and I wonder if there's a product out there that meet this need, almost like a construction permit. I'm just throwing ideas out to the loan officers.
So why don't we get Buchensky in the mix here again? Michael Buchensky. We got mad respect for you.
None of this was
here.
what I prepared for.
Dude, I know. This is the beautiful thing of the show.
I love it.
The viewers and listeners take us where the market wants to go. And this is where the market wants us to go.
So what we're saying, I got it. Yeah, so what we're saying here is as a buyer goes and you want to do this, other than this potential product that we're talking about, this investor loan, which I'd really like to get a better understanding of that, on how that works, it's really only cash. Am I?
Well, you got the investor loan or cash.
That's what I'm saying. It's an whatever this path.
Unless it's under 60 days.
Correct. Yeah. So right now.
So it sounds like a car and a ton of listing agents better start modifying some notes on their listings immediately.
So right now, when we're going to have a Yes Realty Partners meeting.
I was going to say.
After this show.
Yes Realty Partners.
And we're going to have
Christopher Eagle and everybody else.
Matter of fact, start tagging people. We'll do this meeting right now, live.
Okay.
I'm serious. Start tagging people.
Every brokerage in Central Virginia, start modifying your listing notes. So, Michael.
Well, it's not even the listing notes,
dude. The listing notes are straight up saying this.
Yeah,
and they're saying asking for over 60 days.
Yeah, I'm a little out of my pay grade here, but all this.
I've never seen my man is sweating over here. My homie is sweating over here.
Yeah, I mean, but look, this is how this stuff works, right? We're trying to help clients. We're trying to be the trusted advisors, and the comment I made earlier, what we're talking about right now will be very different 6-12 months from now. But where we are right now at this very moment, it sounds like there needs to be some conversations about this, that if it's a conventional loan, and then who's responsible for this, right?
Let me ask Michael Buchensky this. Michael Buchensky,
let me finish this train of thought real quick.
Please. Okay.
A lot of, I'm thinking out loud here.
Okay.
A lot of this is a ramification of COVID. And why am I saying that? Ask the loan officers on there. When was the last time they were at a physical closing, right?
Because you're saying there's not the communication that there used to be.
There's not the communication that it used to be. There wasn't where we sit down at a closing and it was Bill Tucker, Charlottesville settlement, closure title, you as the real estate agent, the loan officers would show up or somebody from that, and they would literally go through all the documents. That's not really happening now. And maybe this is a result of that this stuff is getting missed a little bit on that. I'm not, when people's comfort levels go up, that's a whole different discussion. And I'm just thinking out loud, because I have not been at a physical closing with a client in over 2 years, right? Where we sat down and went through this and spent the hour to go through all the loan docs, because as I'm replaying through my head in previous closings, usually the loan officer or the closing agent or the attorney, whoever's doing it, will make sure everybody understands this is your primary residence and you've got to take possession within 60 days. And that conversation, I don't think is happening now.
Yeah. Okay, so a lot of stuff's coming in fast. Well, made sense. That was very clearly put. Michael Buchensky, I got to ask you this question for the coach. We were talking with Daniel McDougall, who's in the comment section here. And the question I have for you, Michael, if the listing agent puts in the notes that the seller wants possession for longer than 60 days, markets the property.
So we've just ascertained without a doubt, you can't go over 60 days.
You can't go over 60 days. So I'm now going to ask a second professional this question.
Yeah.
Michael, if the listing agent puts in the notes that the seller needs possession after closing for longer than 60 days, is that listing agent complicit in loan fraud? That's a question I have for you, Michael. And secondly, the second question I have.
Yeah, I'm not so sure about that, but
McDougall says yes.
Yeah, well, I mean, that first of all, let's be very careful here. We're going down some slippery slopes, right? We got to, we don't have lawyers in the room, right? We don't have people that really look at this stuff. This is a talk show going back and forth. I don't know who's on that end of it. I know that if that's the case, the seller, the buyer is, and potentially the buyer's agent is getting themselves in a bit of hot water in here. I'm not so sure the listing agent.
Okay, why do you say the
seller.
buyer's representative and not the seller's representative?
Well, it's
Because the seller's representative is the one that's asking for it.
well, actually, the seller is asking for it, right?
But the seller's representative has to do what's best for the seller.
Yeah, but the seller is asking for it. I'm not so sure, and right, how many years? We're in our 3 years, few months, so I am squirming a little bit. I don't do
squirming.
that very
I think we see you
often.
squirming.
But look, the reality of it is, what we need to now figure out, and we need to bring the smart people in the room. Not that anybody on this feed isn't smart, but we got to bring the legal beagles in on it. You're smiling.
The legal beagles.
The legal beagles.
That got me.
Right. I'm going back to the 70s.
The legal beagles is funny.
The legal beagles into it, and the people that really look at this that are way smarter than I will ever be on this end of it. But the bottom line is, we need to look at this. This is a real thing now.
Michael Buchensky responded.
Yeah, sure.
He does not think that the seller's listing agent is complicit with loan fraud.
I would agree with that.
But he has a huge but in all caps. Huge but in all capitals.
Before you go to the but, the other answer is the loan officer also, right? The loan officer on the buy side
Yes.
is also complicit.
Yes. His huge but is, but the buyer can only buy it as an investment property or second home due to the 60-day rule, and if it's longer, it's loan fraud.
So who is that? Let's kind of break this down a little bit. The federal regulators have established the 60-day rule. That's a question for everybody out there. I think I know the answer to it, but we need to determine, who is setting that up, right? Who established that criteria? I'm pretty sure it's the federal regulators, which I think, and this is a result. This may be a result, and I'm trying to go back.
McDougal says, once I see this on a contract, the loan is dead for him.
So there's your first stop.
He says, if I see this on a contract.
Let's talk about that, how that works, right? So if any of the
and Buchensky says Fannie and Freddie.
Fannie and Freddie did this, which are quasi-governmental.
Oh, no doubt.
Bodies. So that's great. So now we know we've got loan officers that are going to look at a contract, because that's what they're supposed to do, right? I'm representing the buyer, right? And you are a loan officer, and because I have to present the contract to you, right, to go through the process. And if you catch that in the contract, you do that. The funny thing is,
I'm looking at 3 homes on the MLS right now where the seller is asking for possession longer than 60 days in the notes.
And that's in the public side.
Yeah,
sure.
3 homes.
Yeah, sure. So the question for the loan officer is sometimes that doesn't end up in the contract. That ends up as an addendum to the contract somewhere along the line. So sometimes this don't necessarily end up in the contract. The seller possession agreement is a separate agreement to that. So what I need to do at this point.
Well, did you ask that to Daniel and to Michael Buchensky? If it's an addendum, they wouldn't see it.
Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. Maybe yes, maybe no yes.
Yeah.
Right?
So then the mortgage.
There's some addendums and amendments. Excuse me, let me back up for a second. An addendum they would, because that is attached to the contract. An amendment, sometimes they don't see it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So if it's an amendment.
An addendum they would, amendment they would not.
If it's an amendment, okay, so I'm learning. If it's an amendment and it's done by the buyer's representative.
So it's the simple difference is that an addendum is part of the contract or addending an existing contract. An amendment is
a separate document.
After a contract is ratified, something is changed to the contract after that.
So if the buyer's representative does an amendment.
Sometimes they see it, sometimes the loan officer sees it. It depends on what it is, right?
That amendment would be loan fraud.
No, well, I'm not talking about this specific instance. I'm just talking about amendments in general, right? They sometimes don't end up at the loan officer. But we're really going down a little bit of a slippery slope here. And again, I'll repeat myself a couple of times so it's on the record. We need to get legal advice. We need to get folks in here from the mortgage company. We need to get folks in from the associations to find out, where we're at this point. The thing that I want to personally do is reach out to legal aid at Virginia Realtors, right? Because we have a legal aid department that looks at this stuff with a couple of real estate lawyers there and say, okay, guys, this is the question that came up today on today's show,
I have
right?
a feeling they're getting a phone call from you here at about 11:32 in the morning.
I guarantee you they're getting phone calls before I make the phone call.
I think the phone calls are happening right now.
That's the point. So the question would be, the smart move here is toss it to the legal beagles of Virginia Realtors and say, okay, guys, if I am a buyer's agent and the buyer is doing an amendment to the contract or something that's in the contract or whatever it is exceeding the 60 days on that end of it, what's the ramifications and what do we do? How does this work? Right? So this is a great effing question.
Yeah. Okay. Michael Buchensky, Paul McClarcher, hello. I see 6 real estate firms watching this show.
Have
right
I been fired, by the way?
There are 6 different ones watching. Michael Buchensky.
I know Mrs. Smith is watching.
The buyer signs a form at closing
That's exactly right.
saying they will move into the home within 60 days. If a separate addendum or amendment exists, the loan officer does not see it, but the buyer signs the 60-day form, then it's fraud from the buyer end.
Correct. Well,
It's loan fraud.
and that's the reason why I don't think the listing, as I think Mike said.
No, Mike did say it,
Yeah,
and you were right.
Yeah.
But the buyer's agent would be.
So it's typically on the buy side,
Yeah.
right? The seller, this is, I don't think. Again, I'm not a lawyer. I don't even play one on TV.
And you did stay at a Holiday Inn Express last night.
I did not stay in a Holiday Inn Express last night. I'm a Hilton guy, but that's a whole different story. The reality of it is we need to get some people in here that are way smarter than myself to start answering this question. But we know enough to know something ain't right, and we need to take a look at this as professionals.
McDougal says, Daniel McDougal and Michael Buchensky, you guys are crushing it today. He says, if the seller needs possession longer than 60 days, they need to go after cash buyers.
Well, we said that, right? There's only, at this point, based on this conversation, based on this feedback, right?
What's going on with the CAR Facebook, the private group with CAR, Rake It Out?
As we stand at this moment, there's only 2, as we understand it, at this very moment, is cash or some of these investor loan conversion products that might be out there. But it's an interesting.
Buchensky says all agents don't ruin your career for one deal. It's best to be upfront from the buyer end.
Well, it's also maybe they don't know either, right? Look.
Ignorance is
not an excuse.
Yeah.
It's not an excuse, right? But that's the reason why we spend the time that we do to educate ourselves. This is why we spend the time that we do, at least with these microphones in front of us, to help us be better at what we do. So we now know there's a question, right? We know that much, and we need to get in front of that question and figure out what the answer is to that question, because everything that we're looking at here, everything that you're looking at on the market right now is how do we answer Ms. Smith's question? How do we help Ms. Smith achieve her goals? Right, that's my function. Right now, my answer can be we can do a 60-day seller possession on that end of it. Now, on Ms. Smith's end of it, if there's a loan that goes through and closes with 6 months, it's on the buyer side.
For Kevin, multiple people are asking this. This type of listing is not local. This is happening everywhere. It's not just happening in Central Virginia. It's everywhere.
It's nationwide.
Yeah, this is nationwide.
Yeah, sure. So what's
you have 7 firms now on the show.
So what's the workaround? And that's a poor choice of words. So what's the solution? That's a better choice of words. So because we've got to help Ms. Smith achieve her goal, right? To sell and buy. That's what she wants to do, and we're here to help. But right now, we've kind of severely hurt, at least the way I understand it, one of the tools that we've been talking about.
As long as it's 60 days or under.
As long as it's 60 days and under. But YRP, we're going to have a meeting today, guys.
I have a feeling many of the brokerages in town are having a meeting about this.
Yeah, or I'm going to get a special phone call to show up at some meeting somewhere.
Daniel McDougal, the reason this is a rule is because investors because investors a long time ago would say they were going to move in the house as a primary residence, but they never did.
So
Then they got lower rates as a primary residence, but underwriters caught it.
Yeah, so this was the result of the time of great unpleasantness, I think. You know, that what we're referring, who was that spoke?
Daniel McDougal.
Daniel.
And he said 90% of his loan deals, 90%, he is not seeing the people. It's e-filing.
Yeah, so, you know, maybe we need to get back to meeting people. Maybe we need to get back to face-to-face conversations on that end of it. But look, it's why I spent 6 hours working on it. That's why I got up this morning to get the spreadsheet together on it. We didn't talk too much about it today, which is great. But this is why we do the show. This is why, we're trying to make, at least I am, we're trying to make our profession better. Our professions better.
You're a very ethical, above-board guy. This is a good one, good comment that just came in from Michael Buchensky. I have a solid local investor we do business with that I can get an investment property with 25% down. A credit should be able to get a rate of 4.75% with half a point.
But that's not helping Ms. Smith.
Well, no, but we're talking about, we asked him about the investment rates.
Sure.
We asked him that. So a local investor with A credit and 25% down payment, the rate is 4.75% with a half a point, with 0.5 points on a 7-year ARM, or 15-year fixed at 5.25% with half a point. But I would need to see the client app, credit, et cetera, to determine if that's available.
So if this tool has been watered down, right? Let's call it watered down, right? I think we've pretty much ascertained that it's 60 days
or done,
or some other product.
Dude, there are legitimately. I'm looking at 3 homes on the public MLS right now that are asking for longer than that.
Longer than 60 days. Yeah.
I'm literally.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. So, but as you're speaking and as Mike is speaking, as we're going through this thing, if this is really a tool that's not available to Ms. Smith, and I'm making some assumptions about Ms. Smith here, the housing affordability is going to get worse. I don't even have a tool, because my assumption, unless you have 25% down, the assumption here is I'm selling my house so I can pull 20% worth of cash to go buy. If I don't have that cash, that's the reason I was throwing out the HELOC on the if there's equity in the home, maybe you can do a HELOC, cash out, use that cash as this 25% down to move forward to buy. I think I just confused you.
Yeah, you confused everybody.
Yeah.
So you're saying
so if I have cash, Ms. Smith has $50,000 worth of equity in her house, and she goes and gets a line of credit, a HELOC on it, and pulls the cash out and uses that cash, right, to go ahead, because she's got a second side of this equation she's got to work on. Selling, she's fine, but then she might potentially be violating for loan fraud on the buy, because she needs more than 60 days to go ahead and do that. So if you get some cash, then I can do this other loan product. Does that make sense? The whole concept of seller possession, for the most part, is to give time to find something else and bring cash to the table, right? The down payment on that. Is that making sense? Did I just
No, that makes sense. I mean, in a lot of ways, you're just talking about a bridge loan.
Yeah, so HELOC.
It's a bridge loan.
It's a bridge loan. It's a HELOC. Whatever it is, take the equity that's in your home, convert it to cash. Then I can go out and buy something.
But if you do that, you're going to get stung multiple times with loans.
Loan closing.
Yeah.
You're going to end up at some point in time making 2 payments.
That's what I'm saying.
2 mortgage payments. If it's more than 60 days, it's more than 60 days. But the mortgage payment, double mortgage payment, can be offset, because now I'm going to charge you rent, which is equal to the rent that I'm paying over there. So that can balance out a little bit.
That makes the domino deal even more confusing.
Yeah, man. It's like
that's a nightmare domino deal.
It's nightmare. This is a nightmare. But this is a big thing. I'm curious what Ray is saying in the car.
Yeah, Ray, what's the car private group saying on the post you just did on this? And obviously, the Car Private Group has got the brokerages watching your show right now, because I'm seeing all of them on here.
Yeah. Well, I think they follow it anyway. It's not on the thing.
OfferPad was developed. This comment came in from
Yeah.
Daniel. OfferPad was developed because of this conundrum.
Yeah.
They buy your house while you build a new one.
Yeah.
Then you go from one home to another with no issues of having to find temporary space.
Yeah, correct. Yeah. And it's not new construction. You can, in certain areas you can do it. I don't
This
know.
comment's come in, Jerry. Okay, I will respect the anonymity. Jerry, as you know, I'm a broker, but please don't use my name.
Got it. Am I getting into trouble?
No. They sell their home and then they go find a short-term rental and it solves all of these problems.
That's another solution. There you go.
Sell your home, take the money, find a short-term rental, and then this solves the issue.
It does actually. Yeah, it does. Yeah. So that's the cash out. They've cashed out.
You took the money, you cashed out, see if you can find a rental.
Well, let's play devil's advocate on that. Much like my convoluted HELOC conversation. I'm moving twice.
Yeah, it's a pain in the ass.
Well,
There's
it's
no
expensive.
question about
It's
it.
expensive. I'm
But
moving
at least
twice.
you're not committing loan fraud.
Not committing loan fraud.
Yeah.
I'm moving twice. And oh, by the way, what was that interview I did on Channel 29 about rental?
Yeah, rentals have gone up 13% year over year.
And why are they going up? It's harder to find a rental.
Well, Paul McCarter just said, except there aren't short-term rentals to do that.
That's exactly right.
And they're not one-year rentals to do that.
That's exactly right.
And,
There's not
and
2
my
years.
rentals have gone up close to 20% year over year.
And there is probably not 2-year rentals. So it's a great, so from a math perspective.
I mean, then there's the hotel, but that's not going to
yeah,
be cheap.
yeah.
That'll be a nightmare.
Yeah, well, so from whoever that broker was, they're spot on. You know, that is a solution, except the reality of that is where am I going to go? Where am I going to find that? So that same question came in. I think the answer is more product.
Bridge loans, Michael Buchensky, bridge loans are not bad. Usually it's interest only in short-term 6-month max, assuming the home sells fast.
Yeah, that it could potentially be that way, but you got to have the equity, right? You've got to have.
I mean, at this point, most of them have the equity.
So that's an interesting thing. The national average is about $55,000.
Yeah.
That people have.
Certainly in our local market, they have the
well, we're
equity.
just looking at it right now, right? That's the numbers I did crunch.
Right, the equity's there.
The equity's there.
I think you're going to see some listing notes revamped after this show.
Yeah. My phone is blowing up too, so I just hope I didn't get too much trouble today. But that's what we do, right? This is good stuff, right? They get out there. So there's some product out there that we can do. There's some things I think folks need to start taking a look at it. I know I've been preaching that for some time, but you know what? I think to be honest with you, because we're not sitting face to face in closings anymore, I forgot all about that 60-day rule. I literally forgot about it.
Kathy Yersick,
Yeah, Kathy. Mm-hmm.
finding a short-term rental is impossible in this market.
Sure. So we can't find anything to buy, right? Can't find anything to rent. So what is Ms. Smith going to do? Sit tight. Hopefully.
And the Miss Smith he's talking about is a viewer, Jennifer Smith, who asked this question, saying they're looking to buy another house, but her family has to sell their current home to buy the next home, which is extremely common.
Sure. So we know now, at least from the seller side, there's less.
This comment came in. This is a big reason for low inventory. This is what potential sellers are facing.
Yeah, sure.
This is a brutal market, dude.
Yeah. So you're 100% right, and I'm glad that this came up, and I'm glad we're having this conversation on this end of it. But again, bottom line, unless it's a cash deal or some other mechanism, I'm speaking as on the buy side, some sort of mechanism, a bridge loan, a HELOC, an investment property, or something.
Here's a question.
I think one needs to look at the ROI on stuff we're talking about, right? Because the cost to do the commercial, the bridge or heel lock and all that stuff.
Buchensky just gave us that equation. Just gave us that scenario.
Thank you.
You ready for it?
One moment, please. May offset rental, right? Right. So in other words, finding a rental and moving expenses may be more expensive than what Michael's about ready to tell us. Assuming you can find something.
A bridge loan equity is tricky. Take the appraised value and multiply it by 75%, then subtract the loans on the property.
Correct.
The balance is what you can get as the bridge loan.
Correct.
For example, $400,000 value house times 75% equals $300,000. If they owe $200,000, then they have $100K available for the bridge loan.
Yeah, and it's generally interest only. This is a question. Generally interest only, and
That's what he said, yeah.
And the interest rate's usually something over prime. So whatever prime is, it's generally a point or 1.5 or 2 points over prime. So there's a path there, right? And so let's talk about the costs to do that, right? So you're gonna have to pay for and this is a question for Mike, right? There's some sort of appraisal cost. There's going to be some recording cost because this is going to be a deed, a deed of trust of some sort on the property. And then what's the cost for origination fees and all that stuff. So if we are going to map out that as an option, Mike, what is my cost to my seller? A general rule. And if that is this amount, whatever amount it is, and the amount to find a rental, right, short-term rental, assuming you can find it in the moving twice, my suspicion is this path that Michael just outlined will be cheaper than that.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
Especially since you can't find the rental.
Oh, boy.
Let's say hello to the benevolent dictator.
Oh, Mr. Beckham.
Our friend Quinn Beckham.
Yeah.
We love you, QB.
Yeah.
Huge fan of you, QB, as you know.
I want to make sure, the question is, Smith wants to know that you still love him.
I think he does.
I know. I love him to death.
This is where the market took the show.
Yeah. We're
responding to the market.
I'm Mr. Beckham and I are going to go out for a martini this evening. I'm looking forward to it.
Where are you guys going?
Tavola is
Tavola,
excuse me.
He loves Tavola.
I love it though. I had a martini the other day that was just. I had it on a Tuesday evening. We stopped in for some, or Wednesday I think it was, and I got to tell you, I've been thinking about it ever since. It was really good. Really
Normal
tasty.
purchase cost for closing costs is typically 1 or 2 points, and the rate is likely 6% or so interest only.
Yeah.
But since it's a short-term rental, it's not terrible. Short-term, it's not terrible.
Yeah. So
It's answering your question.
Yeah. So back to this scenario of the $100,000 left over. I mean, it just gets calculated to your ROI, right? So whatever that cost may be. I'm picking a number, $5,000 or $10,000, whatever it is. So your net on your ROI on the sale is 90, not 100, or whatever the math is comes out to be. It's just the cost of doing business to make the transaction. But that sure as hell keeps you out of trouble.
Here's an interesting question. This is from Kelsey. What are the ramifications or punishment, she asks, of loan fraud?
Yeah, the loan officers need to answer that. I don't know.
Daniel and Michael, if you're watching, what are the ramifications and or punishment of loan fraud?
Well, we
from Kelsey.
We know
the loan is called potentially.
Yeah, I mean,
you're talking potential foreclosure because you're not going to be able to pay the loan.
I'm
That's why you took the loan to begin with.
I'm stuttering. I don't know. I don't know if I've ever heard this actually happening before. But I'm sure somebody out there who's a lot smarter than me is going to do it and on that end of it. But the loan officers, the people in the trenches on that should be able to answer that.
McDougal just answered.
Yeah.
Michael, what's your answer? McDougal says fines or you go to jail.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, it's way out of my pay grade on this end of stuff, but all we know is you're not supposed to do it, and it's loan fraud. So we've got to come up with different mechanisms as agents to help our buyers get through this, and as loan officers to do that, to help them.
McDougal also adds, the only good thing about this market is that there are no chain closings where you might have 10 plus transactions all dependent on each other. One crash, they all crash. That's the domino deal he's talking, right?
Yeah, I disagree with that. Domino deals are not gone. That's for sure. They are out there, and
Buczynski asked, I'm not answering, he says. Ask a real estate attorney for that one, but it's not good.
Yeah. Well, it's not above board and it's not good. So, but I honestly believe a lot of this conversation we're having today is the result of, not sitting at closure title, right, with the loan officer, with the folks at closure title, with the real estate agent, and stop sitting at a table and going over loan documents. I think a lot of that is that. I think closings are very different than they were 2 years ago. Maybe we need to get back to that.
I mean, Daniel, 90% of his business is online.
Yeah. It's do you actually sit down as a loan officer with at the closing table? That was commonplace. That was always the case. You don't see it so much anymore.
2 other topics, 11:30. Mindful of time here.
I'm good with time if you're good with time. But I know you've got a busy next show.
This is the other topic from Kelly. Kelly says, your thoughts on, and I have a feeling I know your answer here. Your thoughts on 5th Street extended from a real estate standpoint, with the new marshals coming in, with the Habitat for Humanity development coming in. Kyle Renninger's got a new property coming in. The thought is that there's a heck of a lot of traffic and density heading that way. That's what she's asking about.
Yeah. So it's much. You want me to answer that?
Yeah, you will answer that, and then you got to hear this one. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. So Kelly, great question. I'm going to twist it around a little bit on this end of it. And so I had a conversation with a potential listing at Lake Monticello, and this particular individual, let's say we're not going to get the listing, just to get that off the table, was very upset because there was 2 vacant lots next to them that are now getting built on, new construction getting built on, and they were upset with that, and upset that homes are being built on vacant lots at Lake Monticello. And my comment to her was, well, A, you had an opportunity to buy both of those lots because they were on the market, and you chose not to do that.
And that's an incredibly presumptuous comment.
But what did you expect to happen?
Right.
So that comment is look, when Fifth Street Station got built and put in and all this stuff, everything you just outlined eventually is going to happen. The market will just go there to that. So you'll see, it's just going to continue to grow up around that, much like Zion's Crossroads will, because water's coming and it's an intersection there, but it's going to continue to grow, and it'll grow. I hope that did a decent job at that answer. But
and we'll also add this
and thank you for the question, Kelly.
Also add this: there's no inventory on the market, so houses are not going to go down right now. They're not going to go down in value. There's no inventory in the market.
Oh, no, was that the question?
That was what she was alluding to.
Oh, yeah, no.
With all the increased density around there, traffic congestion, et cetera. They're not going to go down.
You might not.
Quality of life and waiting in traffic longer is going to certainly happen.
Yeah.
That will 100% happen.
Yeah.
Homes aren't going to drop.
Look, so Albemarle County, no new construction, just regular. We had a jump of $50,000 year over year. So the median sales price sold, this is the median, in 2022 first quarter was $460. Last year was $410. So we had a $50,000 increase.
I mean, that's obscene.
Yeah. So
that's what, 12%?
Yeah. So you
year over year.
Yeah. What you're gonna see, and when we do this same drill next year, because we will, I think you'll see that percentage increase quarter over quarter, half that. In other words, you're going to see back in the single digits, somewhere between 3 and 6%. That's historically where the year over year kind of goes. So you're just not going to see these double digit increases, but it will increase. It's just like I said with the apartment. It's economics 101.
Yeah, we got no supply.
There's no supply.
And I'm emphasizing this again for everyone that's watching. The University of Virginia this fall is admitting more students than ever in the history of the school. They're hiring more staff, and the School of Data Science on Ivy Road is not even open yet. Wait till you see the impact of more students this fall at UVA, and wait till you see the impact of the School of Data Science on Ivy Road and what that's going to have on this community and its housing ecosystem.
Oh, wow.
Neil Williamson says this, here's the penalty for loan fraud.
He would know. He
The
looked it up.
penalties for a Class 1 misdemeanor loan fraud, 12 months in jail, potentially, and a fine of up to $2,500.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure folks are going to be reaching out to Virginia Realtors Legal to see if we're going down the right path or not here, and definitely come up with some, I'm pretty sure, some answers, and we'll report them back in once we start getting some information on that. But I just saw unemployment did pretty good.
Yeah, unemployment numbers were fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Buchensky says, Michael, you made the show better today.
Thank you, Michael.
Coach Buchensky says, speaking of your Lake Monticello, the lots on either side,
Mm-hmm.
he says that is capitalism, which is awesome. It is your private land, and the rules allow you to do X, Y, and Z from a building standpoint, and you go for it. Then he says the NIMBY crowd is frustrating to say the least.
Yeah, so this particular person's just been there for 25 years and
Got used to having lots on either side that they were using and not paying the taxes on.
And, in fairness to this person, did not have the fiscal ability to buy lots on either side. 2 or 3 years ago, I mean, lots right now, Lake Monticello, if you can find one, or, in the $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 range, unless it's waterfront, if you can even find one. 3 or 4 years ago, it was half that number, and, you could have purchased them at that point. But that's double the dues, triple the dues, it's just but the point I was trying to make is when Fifth Street Station got built, this movement out there was going to happen.
Brian, we've lost out on 3 homes. And on each home, the seller asked to stay in the house for longer than 60 days.
Yeah.
We had to buy a home because our lease was coming up. After losing on the 3rd one, we renewed our lease for another 12 months.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, volume is going to be very different this time next year. I think I think this trend of volume of sales will continue along, but we're gonna report back, and thank you for everybody for making Smith squirm in his seat today. But the 60-day thing is we're gonna have to dig into this a little bit more and report back to everybody. I'm excited about it. Thank you for doing this.
Yeah, good show today. Lots at Lake Monticello, Kevin says, Yancey, were $500 at one time.
Oh yeah, he's right.
$500 lots.
They would yeah, absolutely, yeah. They would, that's in the 70s, but in the 80s, when I got there in 87, you can buy lots for $3, $4, $5 grand, easy, all day long.
And now?
30, 40, 50, in that range, depending on where it's at, assuming you can even find one these days. And that's part of why, to go back to what I prepared today for, the Fulvana County new construction, why this $95,000 jump. Oh no, I'm in trouble.
No, Michael Buchensky just made me laugh.
So
Get that man a strawberry daiquiri.
Who, me?
I think he's talking about you.
No, I do martini. Stop it. Gin martini, very dry.
I love the viewers and listeners.
Shaken.
Buchensky cracks me up.
3 or 4 olives in it. That's it. That's an easy guy. But look, to go back to the $95,000 jump in new construction, right? A lot of that is the dirt.
Yeah. Oh,
Right.
no doubt.
A lot of that's the dirt. And
The cost of goods for new construction.
Going up. So I think if you were to take a look at the builder's P&L statements, right, their net's about the same. So people thinking that they're making that extra $100 grand on that, they're probably spending between 25.
Sean, has Sean Tubbs really moved to another state?
No, that's Sean just playing a little bit.
Sean Tubbs, the dry humor does not always convey via comments.
Yeah. He can't.
And Facebook.
He can't. He's got to be in person, and he's got to have that.
He says, please report on the program that I've moved to another state. Details in today's newsletter.
He very well might have.
I don't think you've moved to another state, have you, Sean?
He's been talking about that for
I know he has.
quite some time. I know he likes Vermont. I think it'll be a loss for us if he does, but, good for him if that's what he would like to do.
Oh, dude, it's April Fool's joke.
Oh, no kidding.
Hancock County, he's your host, Tawn Subs. I now got the joke. Sean.
That's right. Today is April 1st, isn't it?
Sean, you know I love you, homie. You know I do. The dry humor does not convey via comments and Facebook. But his community engagement Substack is fantastic.
Yeah.
Town Crier Productions and Info Seville is just absolutely amazing.
So this is the moment that we go, hey, the 60 days, April Fools.
You wish.
It is not.
You wish.
It is not.
Yona says the market will balance.
Oh, she's 100% right. Hi, honey. How you doing?
Yona, I didn't figure out the April Fools from Sean. Thank you, Yona. She's saying Sean's doing an April Fool's joke.
Did Yona figure that out?
Yeah.
God bless her. Right?
And she says the market will balance.
Yeah. Well, A, it will balance. B, it needs to balance. Right? But I mean this. This time, I'm trying to be serious, Mr.
Daniel McDougall says, get that man a beer. Daniel Pettit says, Keith, go out and run 10 miles.
I did on Saturday. I did.
No
I ran
one thought
10
the
miles.
show would go this way.
I did with only 3 weeks of training, and to say that I'm a little sore would be an understatement. Jerry noticed a little twinge I did before, and I went,
You're moving better.
I am moving better.
You're less stiff. You're more fluid with your gait today than when I saw you on Monday.
Yeah, Monday was a rough day.
Monday you were stiff as a board.
Monday was a rough day. I have to tell you that. Monday was rough, but it was literally worth every step of it. To hold my wife's hand, my daughter's hand, and Kelsey Schline's hand to cross the finish line together. It was very much so worth it. That was a big thing for him. Jonas never ran. First of all, she was not a runner at all. And to train and be serious about this and run that, love you, honey. That is, you're an awesome person.
Good stuff today. I love everybody that watched the program. The show was on fire. I have a feeling that this show will be played in a handful of brokerage offices.
Well, I don't know. I don't know about that, but I think some conversations are going to happen. That's for sure. That's for sure. On
question about that.
On that end of it, I know we're going to have a conversation with our team, our folks at Realty Partners, to be a little careful about what we're doing on the buyer side and make sure we ask the right questions. Since we now know that anything over 60 days, unless it's some special.
It's no bueno, chico.
No bueno, chico, which is going to make things even harder.
Yeah.
I think the amount of love coming through the cyberspace,
the interwebs,
the interwebs is probably not high at the moment.
No way.
Thanks, Smith.
No. I take that. I disagree. I think what you did with your show today was helped a lot of people out. I don't think it's people are going to be sour. I think you offered clarity on something that no one knew about.
Maybe not clarity, but I offered enough clarity that we need to start asking some questions, and we need to get some legal beagles in here and figure out.
Don't play like that. You helped here.
Well,
I always have your back.
I think you. I know you do. But actually, the viewers and listeners helped.
Oh, dude.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Every time you do these damn things, it's like you better be right.
Oh my God, and it's like forever.
I know.
It never goes away.
It lives on the internet forever.
Man, where was I?
Trust me.
I know. I was somewhere the other day, and somebody pulled me aside. I think I was in Costco actually. Pulled me aside and yada yada yada, and said, why I think I'm more than twice wrong. He goes, look, you weren't quite right on the show. And I went, oh, so which show? And it was like a year and a half or 2 years ago.
Right.
I said, dude, thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you for watching. Thank you for making me better. Thank you for helping. But if you think I can remember what I did yesterday, you would be wrong. You would be wrong.
Forever.
Yeah, I know.
Forever.
No.
Judah, you doing all right over there?
Yeah, poor Judah.
I mean, what are you working on over there?
A lot of...
Yeah? That doesn't look like it over there, but...
Talk about multitasking?
That's not multitasking.
I can't see him.
You put the camera on a 2-shot and you leave it for 90 minutes. That's what's happening over there.
Well, you know what?
Okay.
I love him to death. I would never...
He's not flipping cameras here.
Yeah.
It's a 2-shot.
I couldn't know. Hey, Judah, I love you, man.
Yeah. He's the director. Keith Smith, the distinguished gentleman.
I have to tell you, I do love Liza Moore, though. I'm just saying.
Jerry Miller, me. And this is Real Talk, presented by Yes Realty Partners on the I Love Seville Network. My friend, your phone is on fire over there. Okay.
So Kevin Yancey just messaged me and said, yeah, one martini isn't going to do it.
Your phone is on fire over there. This was a
Thank you,
fantastic
Kevin.
program. You guys have a good morning. The I Love Seville show is up in 45 minutes. Take care.
Thank you, everybody. All right. Yeah.